Hello, darlings. So today we're going to talk about this new black moon in Taurus on Algol. That's Medusa. That's to be turned to stone or not. And before we get to that, I just want to go over the three crosses and the planets that rule the three crosses. And then we're going to have a look at the black moon, and then we're going to have a look at some pictures. So it's very important that you get that we've got the mutable cross, the fixed cross, and the cardinal cross. And when these three crosses come together, you get the Star of Bethlehem. There it is. Just like the Union Jack, the mutable cross and the fixed and the cardinal cross become one. And we can come back to this five-pointed star, which is the gateway. When the wheel goes from 12 times 30, you find the four corners. And we can return to 5 times 72. Okay, so we've got the three crosses: mutable, liquid energy, bipolar energy, duality energy. And we're leaving the age of Pisces. So we were on the feminine cross, Pisces opposite Virgo, the little mermaid with her voice. Pisces is the V, it's the passage of the voice. And Virgo is the little mermaid who's fallen to earth. She's come to earth and she loses her voice and she has her legs. So Jupiter rules Pisces and Sagittarius. So he uses the whale's tail in Pisces for the wings to have air, and he uses in Sagittarius Altair, the hawk. It's not the eagle, the wings. And then we've got Gemini ruled by Mercury and Virgo ruled by Mercury. So Gemini, Sagittarius, Merlin and Arthur, and Virgo and Pisces, Corona and Victor. I think that Victor is really Victoria because this is the feminine axis. So CV and Cupid and Valentine, CV. Gemini, the twins, Romulus and Remus, Cain and Abel. And it depends what cross we're on, the feminine or the axis, whether Cain or Abel is either being the farmer or the hunter. So we're coming back to the hunter now. We're coming back to the animal energy between this Cain and Abel, Romulus and Remus, because as we flip and we're making the one. So Pete rules Pisces, Paul rules Sagittarius. Jupiter doesn't want to let go of the empire he's created from the beginning of the wheel, from falling Asia to finishing the wheel now, Europe. They have made this 13th sign in the Milky Way axis. The 14 pieces of Osiris were meant to bring them back together again. And Jacques is our crowning in this passage now. Look at this great picture. This is what I'm going to be showing you today, the double-headed eagle. So at the top, you've got Jupiter joining to come back to the kingdom of Saturn, and this can either be the head, the hawk, Sagittarius, or you've got the split of the legs of that what you see in the Starbucks mermaid. You see the split of her tail. So then we have the fixed cross. We've got Leo, the sun rules Leo. We've got Taurus, Venus rules Taurus. We've got Scorpio ruled by Mars and Aquarius ruled by Saturn. So on the fixed cross, we've got Sun and Saturn. And so we've got masculine, feminine axis. Sun, Saturn, masculine axis, and feminine Taurus, Venus, and Mars on that horizon. Same thing on the cardinal cross, so fixed is solid energy. Lavette always talks about the adapts, mutable signs, the masters, solid, fixed, and the cardinal is the grand masters, and that is gas. So here, this is why we had the whole David Icke talking about the Saturn and Moon matrix, Capricorn, Cancer, feminine axis that I always talk about, 69 and 96. Talk about this being Scotland at the top, and that's why the Queen was brought down at 96 down to 69, Cancer. So feminine axis, Saturn and the Moon. The Moon rules the cardinal cross. The Sun rules the fixed cross. And when these two become one, you get that Maltese cross, and you get the Sun and the Moon, Leo and Cancer merging, Saturn, Aquarius, and Capricorn, Saturn, and you get Mars and Venus on the horizon merging, and you have expanded and been curious enough and done your learning and growth with Jupiter and Gemini and Virgo, your logic and your analytical thinking. So Saturn, Moon, Mars rules Aries, and Venus rules Libra. But the main problem we have is that Taurus and Libra, Aphrodite and Diana, Armistice, have been reversed. So Libra has been made into the seductive female energy, giving that to Venus, and Taurus has been made into Mars, masculine energy. So we're in the gap now. We're leaving Pisces and we're coming back to Aquarius. And you've got these V for victories, or you've got the Leonardo da Vinci man going from his arms apart to his arms closed. Apart, closed. You've got to have that mutable energy before you can come back to this fixed. You have to have gone through the rising of your Jack, Gemini, Jill, Virgo to rise that DNA, and to get through the throat, Taurus, to remember your head, Aries, or we're hung upside down at Libra, the kidneys, and Scorpio, the sexual organs. Here we've got, let's start at Aries, the head, ruled by Mars, the brain. Then we've got the neck, the throat, Taurus, Venus. Then we've got the arms, the hands, the lungs, Gemini, ruled by Mercury. Then we've got Cancer, the breasts and the stomach, ruled by the Moon. So the Moon and Venus are responsible for a man's hidden energy of the anima. The heart, ruled by the Sun. Ruled by the Sun is your spine, and it's how the blood is pumped around the body. It's that pumping energy. It's that big heart of Leo. The Sun and Mars is the hidden feminine energy, animus, the hidden masculine energy, within every female. Then we've got Virgo, Mercury, ruling the digestive system and the fertility, the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. Virgo, fertility, Mercury. And we've got the solar plexus, the kidneys, the sugar levels, that's your thyroid as well. And that's Libra, ruled by Venus. So when this is the wrong way round, you get prostate cancer in men. You know, Venus is the ability to open the third eye as Venus and Mars close on the horizon. And we've got Saturn meeting Saturn when Aquarius and Capricorn meets on the vertical. So then Scorpio. Scorpio is Mars again. On its higher octave, it's been given Pluto as the subconscious. It's your genitals and your bowels. Then Sagittarius, Jupiter is your arteries, that's the bloods, and your liver and the thighs. And then Capricorn is your skeleton, your knees, your skin, and your bones. And that's Saturn. So Jupiter and Saturn. Aquarius is ruling the calves. They say ankles, so yep, calves and ankles. It's your nervous system. All the air signs have a lot to do with the nervous system. And that's Aquarius. Then Pisces, Jupiter, it's your lymphatic system. We've also got Neptune in its higher octave ruling Pisces here. It's your ability to get past the illusion, Neptune. And Aquarius is associated on its higher octave with Uranus. And that is your nervous system, it's your intelligence, it's your ability to change, to not be fixed. Aquarius can be very fixed. So above the belt, when you get past Saturn ruling Capricorn and Aquarius, then you may make it to the three outer planets, Neptune, imagination, connected with Pisces, with Pluto, subconscious mind, connected with Scorpio, and Aquarius, your ability to have a consciousness, to be connected to your consciousness, and that is connected to Uranus. So the crowning of King Charles III in England on a lunar eclipse just after a solar eclipse. So we had the lunar eclipse in Libra, moon in Libra, sun in Aries, and before that on the 20th of April we had the solar eclipse, and that was the sun and the moon on Aries, which gives us Alpha Omega. And now we're coming to a black moon in Taurus, which is taking us, so England on the west of the cross, on the west of the meridian zero line, Westminster, lunar, and on the east, the beast, Leo, we've got Macron, and we've got the solar, the sun and the moon. And now we've got this coming up on, I'm going to take you to see that right now. So this is today, this is the 14th, and the sun has just moved into, no, it's still in Aries. Sun is going to move into Taurus tomorrow. Okay, so the sun is under Medusa, here's Perseus, Mars, and he cuts the head off. He cuts the head off Medusa. So Medusa is just the two sides of Venus in Pisces, exalted, and in VirgO, fallen. So this is VirgO having to cope with having lost her compassion, and she's said to have been turned into this beast. And we'll be coming to this, but we had for 6 months in New York, in front of where there were the Weinstein trials, we had the girl, we had Medusa standing with the head of Perseus. It's been reversed. So we've got the sun right now on Algol. There's Algol on this star. and over the next few days. So Mercury has been going retrograde in Aries. He doesn't quite make Pisces. Let's watch him. He's stationary. He's stationary right now. Let's go, yeah. He's stationary. I know he's not, it's just because I was doing the time. And he's going to start moving forwards. So let's go back to today. 14. Still going back. And he starts moving forward from the 16th. Okay, he's been very close to his friend Jupiter, and Jupiter will just move into Aries on the 19th as we have this black moon. So here's the moon. Before we have that black moon, we're going to have the moon just conjunct to Aries, and the north node, the lunar node. The lunar node is still in Aries. So that was again for this coronation we had on that axis, Aries Libra, which is the axis of King Charles. He's got his moon in Aries and he's got his sun in Libra. So let's watch this conjunction coming up as Mercury is moving forward and the sun is fully in Taurus, and then we've got this black moon right under Algol, right conjunct to Algol in Taurus. So Taurus is the chest, it's Pandora's box, it's the torso, it's our torso that holds all the organs and which is the center of that cross and of Chiron's last. So you have the lunar nodes, the Milky Way, the head and the tail, and they work on the cardinal cross, the closing of the cardinal cross, and you have Chiron's last, Chiron that has made its way with each mutable age. So now we're on Pisces and the wheel closes. Chiron was officially discovered in 1977, and 77 to 2023 is 56. So there again is the date of the coronation, the 6th of the 5th, May the 5th, 6 be with you. Okay, so this is about this jump from the mutable to the fixed cross, and what, are you going to be hung upside down? Taurus is the throat, or is it the kidneys? Libra, also ruled by Venus, being hung upside down, or you activate your third eye. So we've got this black moon on Algol. Venus, the ruler of Taurus, is in Gemini, right on Sirius. And Sirius is also known as Cyrus, Cyrus, the keeper of the four corners, or Viracocha, or Bess, Elizabeth Macbeth, the Macbeth line. This is the Tudor rose. This is the rose. So Venus on that Sirius, the keeper of the four corners. Mars has just entered Cancer, and Cancer is the cardinal across again. It's your 69. Mars is considered in detriment in Cancer. Mars is considered exalted, opposite in Capricorn, that 96. Cancer is lunar energy, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. So moon and Venus in Taurus, Venus and the moon rule the anima, the hidden feminine side of the man. Okay? So Pluto's now in Capricorn. will be making a nice trine to this black moon, this feminine energy in the 96 energy of Capricorn, where Saturn is at home, right on the true third eye, right on the pyramid of Giza, the true king of the 11th and the 10th house. The 11th and the 10th house is again that 777, and that is when we saw the Grim Reaper at the coronation in that gateway between the two corners of the tracing board. You've got the two corners, those are two angles, that's 7 to 90-degree angles, and in the middle you've got Set, S-E-T-H, that is the god of, again, of the four corners. Same thing as Sirius, same thing as Bess, same thing as the Viracocha. It's the closing of the chest, of the box, of the torso. So I'll be showing you that picture again, but they were showing you Saturn. So those are all the inner planets. We've got Neptune, which is with Jupiter still. No, Jupiter has now entered, he's now entered Aries. So the last time he did this was in 2012. Let's have a look at 2012. Jupiter was already there. So let's see. 2024, Jupiter's going to move into Taurus. 2011, last time Jupiter was making this passage from Pisces to Aries. So this is the chart of the black moon. Here is the sun and the moon conjunct in Taurus on Algol. And here's Mercury going forward again next to Uranus. So this is all, this is the Aleph Tav. We had the Alpha Omega, and now this is the focus on the Aleph Tav. And there you've got those four corners, Alpha Omega, Aleph Tav. There's the N. And there again, I'm putting all this in an article, what I'm doing today, so that you can go and have a look. There's the mutable cross that we're leaving. I don't know why that's blurred. The cardinal cross, Saturn, Venus, Mars, Moon, and the fixed cross, Scorpio, Mars, Venus, Taurus, Saturn, Aquarius, and the Sun, Leo. So there you have sun and the moon. There will be no need of the sun and the moon because you will have lit, you've got past your solar plexus and you've found Saturn. And here you've got Mars and Venus, Libra masculine, Taurus feminine, Aries masculine, Scorpio feminine, air, earth, fire, water. And Jupiter, the two gateways ruling the 9th and the 12th house to get back here to the 11th and the 10th. And you've got the V's, they show the mutable cross, and they're showing you the torch being lit, which is Merlin, Orion's torch, bringing the solar closing of the fixed cross. So there again is Aries, Taurus. I've got, yeah, and then this image, look, this is Saint-Martin-de-Tours, this is Saint-Hubert, Saint-Hubert, Tess d'Urberville, with the Mars, fez hats, the noddy red cap, and the moon. So Mars and the moon. And here you've got the sun and Venus. The deer is Taurus, so that's been inverted. should be the moon and Venus and Mars and the sun. This is this passage of Merlin and Arthur again. This is the crowning, this is the fixed cross, the sun, and the cardinal cross with the moon, the deer hunter, the masculine axis, air, red, yellow, fire makes orange. I was just talking to someone this morning who was at Lourdes next to me in the mountains, Pau by Pau. Pau is also skin, Pau, and they said that there is a Tibetan restaurant. They were a Tibetan restaurant, which is very symbolic because that is that orange, the new age, the golden dawn. So golden dawn, the sun rises at dusk, not dawn, and the sun sets at the sun sets at dusk and rises at dawn. Yeah, so it is, it's the golden dawn. But I'm just picking up on this, changing the anima and the animus. Sun is not, this is they've made into the stag, it's the deer, and the deer hunter, Mars, they've put with the moon. So it's this period now, Jupiter leaving 1 year in Pisces and now moving into Aries. So things are going to really move forwards. Uranus making that passage as he did between World War II, and there we've got the tail of the lunar nodes, the south node in Libra and the head in Aries. We've got 20 years of Pluto in Capricorn and then 20 years of Pluto moving into Aquarius. So from 2024 to 2042, so the Paris Olympics 2024, you know, we've got this real merging of the sun and the moon time up here, sun and the moon, fixed and cardinal, fixed, and this bringing together between the West and East, French and English, the two signs of the coin. Today, I saw that this came out, 20 francs Napoleon golds. The 20 francs Napoleon gold coin is one of the most embellic French coins. It was first minted in 1803 by Napoleon. I spoke to you about Napoleon. I've got a whole article about him, connection to Cornwall, the connection to the Black Prince, the Prince of Wales. The Prince of Wales was the Black Prince, the 100-Year War. And that's all about Cornwall as well, Cornwall. To replace the Louis d'Or issued until the beginning of the First World War, it remains the witness of the political greatness and international power of France, especially under Napoleon III. So the Duke and Duchess of York were also part leading Cornwall, the Duchess of Cornwall, and this Napoleon III. There's always this connection. Prince Charles, Prince of Wales, and Charles de Gaulle, World War II and now. So the Napoleon was created on March the 28th, 1803. It designates gold coins stuck with a face value expressed in francs. Franc is another word for gold. It takes the name of its founder and is logically drawn in his effigy, just like the Louis d'Or, on which were drawn the profiles of kings for decades. The most famous coin is the 20 francs Napoleon, but there are others ranging from 5 to 100 francs. Okay, so this was a picture I was looking for before. Here you've got the lamb. That's Aries. There's a V for victory up here for that Aries sign symbol. And you've got Taurus shoulders and the throat, that's Venus. And you've got Cancer, the breasts, the water, the stomach as well. Cancer, it's a water sign. You've got air, Gemini, the two twins. So we're always told it's Castor and Pollux. I know that Lavette has spoken about Castor originally being female, those two twins. So that's your lungs and your arms and your hands, Mercury. And then we've got the solar plexus, Leo, the sun. So that how your blood and your heart is pumped around the body. And then we've got Virgo, the fertility, Mercury again. It makes that triangle here between air and earth, Mercury. And so she's the fallopian tubes. All the mutable signs rule two sides because they're mutable. They're bipolar. So she's got the fallopian tubes. She's got the uterus. And then we've got Scorpio and Libra. Libra, the kidneys. Scorpio, the sexual organs. And then we've got Sagittarius, the blood, the arteries and the thighs, mutable, so two sides. We've got Capricorn, which is the skeleton, Saturn, and the knees. So this is below the knees, below knee. And you've got Aquarius, the passage from Pisces. So that's your splits. Mermaid in the Starbucks. I'm going to be showing you pictures of this. And that's Jupiter, the feet, and Saturn ruling below knee and the faux knee, the ankles and the calves, and your nervous system as well, your intelligence, your ability to connect your body to those, in fact, that very fixed energy of Aquarius, the rebel. Celestial and ecliptic and the equator line, and Saturn holds those tropics between the fixed and the cardinal cross, between Cancer and Capricorn, and on the fixed cross with Scorpio, Taurus, or Leo and Aquarius. And we've just been on the mutable cross, so that would the equators change, but they always talk about the cardinal. That's why it's always Capricorn and Cancer. So another old picture from Lars showing the true closing. So you've got Capricorn black, Saturn red in the middle, Aquarius, Saturn, and then you've always got Mars and Venus. So here you've got Mars on the outside, Aries, and on the inside, Taurus, feminine, Venus. And here you've got on the outside, Libra, masculine, red air, and on the inside, you've got white, Scorpio, feminine, Mars. And then below, the closing of the sun and the moon, and there you've got your yin and yang. And on the outside you've got Leo, fire, yellow, and on the inside you've got moon, water, and Jupiter should close, and yet what he's doing is he's marrying himself with Sagittarius to make black and yellow when it should be black and yellow over here. Aries and Taurus, Aleph Tav. So when Alpha Omega, Aries Libra, and Aleph Tav close, you've got the true bow tie in the middle here. And there you've got Jack and Jill at the bottom. You've got Virgo and Gemini. And up here, the whale's tail, the diving, and these are the two heads. The dub L 07, dub L 07. They're set in the middle sets. And another picture from Lars. So when the wheel is closing properly, he's put Venus, the ruler, with Libra here, and here we've got Capricorn and Saturn, and he's put all the earth signs together, all the air signs together, the water signs and the fire signs together. And you find that purple crown, Mars, the root chakra, Jupiter, the sacrum, Sun and Moon, solar plexus, Venus, the heart, Mercury, the voice, and your third eye to make lead to gold, to make the crown when the Sun and the Moon have merged, to open your third eye and then have that connection to the outer planets, Neptune, Pluto and Uranus. And the key, so the Sun works with Chiron, the passages of Chiron. So Chiron is, when you see his orbit, it goes between Saturn and Uranus. His orbit works between the orbit of Saturn and Uranus. That's Chiron. And the moon is working with Mars and Venus as the lunar nodes, the nodes of the moon. They're the Milky Way, and the Milky Way is the true closing on each side of Mars and Venus. And this is the pharmaceutical, what is happening there. We've got the Milky Way here. So instead of the correct closing of the wheel, we've got the fixed cross, crucified in the middle, and you've got VirgO and Libra, which is not the true. We should have Capricorn and Aquarius. And then we've got Sagittarius, Jupiter with Capricorn. So it's always the mutable with the cardinal, when it should be the cardinal and the fixed that merge together. So this is what's going on now. This is this period where, just as in A Brave New World, fertility is taken away, and we have to, women and men, before they can become equal, Saturn, equivalent exchange, we have to go through this loss. So after World War II, we had this rise, the 50s, the booming, the baby boomers. We had this procreation, having babies and the creating of the family again. And now we're losing the family and we're becoming sterile. It's this game of the life and death door of Scorpio. Scorpio should, in between 2013-32, she should take the MC at the top of the wheel, and Aquarius to take the AC, which is actually the MC. The AC/DC is the vertical line. So that 13th sign, so Fucius, and Altair is opposite Sirius. I'm going to have, for this black moon, we'll have Venus on Sirius. And the umbrella again, it's the opening and the shutting, it's the Milky Way, it's the Medusa. So that V for victory in the throat, the passage of the throat, and the winter and the summer triangles, the passage of the throat, and the heads. So you've got the V, you've got Mars that rules Aries and Scorpio. Mars is Scorpio, the sexual organs. The V makes the ram's head at the head and at the sexual organs. And you also have Venus and Mars for Taurus. Taurus is the throat. Gemini is Mercury, the communication, to be able to communicate. And this diamond shape This diamond shape is the closing of those two V for victories, closing us into that diamond. Gemini and Virgo should help us up. And here you've got the air and the earth symbol. Air, Gemini, earth. The Star of David is the four elements. This is just air and earth. There's that sword in the stone. It's just showing us the Elizabeth line west. So you've got on each side of the meridian, you've got Paris on the east and you've got London on the west. And that can be the sword. It's the sword held up or down depending on what's going west or east. Okay, I just want to show you something. This is Jacques Cousteau, a famous French marine, and this is Charles. You can do the same thing with Charles de Gaulle and Prince Charles, same face as well. So this hat that he's wearing, here we are, the noddy hat and the upside down crown. So when you saw at the coronation there, the Greek rimmer in that passage, you've got the two corners here, and you've got that passage that makes me think that we're being shown this. So upside down. And that I showed you was the eye of Madeleine McCann. It's that axis of Gemini, and you've got 7, 7, 7, that's set. So you've got 7, 7, 7, and always one leg under the horizon. The 7, 7, 7 are just the angles. So you've always got one leg there under the horizon. Okay. Here. And that is just this. It's just the North Star. And there, that's what I meant about you've got the different triangles that go with each. So one leg, 7, 7, 7, set, and 7 underneath. There are 4 phases to the moon. 21,777, Mercury was retrograde. Triple goddesses gives you the last phase of the moon, the dark side of the moon. It gives you that passage of the high priestess. So interesting, the noddy hat brings us back to those coins, the 20 centimes with marine, the 20 coin that I was just showing you. The two sides of the coin, the double-headed birds. So the Liberty cap with a soft conical cap with the apex bent over associated, so it's just like the cornerstone. It's just that passage. They weren't originally liberty caps. They came to signify freedom and the pursuit of liberty, first in the American Revolution and then in the French Revolution, particularly as a symbol of Jacobinism. It has also been called a Jacobin cap, Jacob's ladder. The original cap of liberty was the Roman pileus, the felt cap of emancipated slaves of ancient Rome, which was an attribute of Libertas, the Roman goddess of liberty. In the 16th century, the Roman iconography of liberty was revived in emblem books, blah, blah, blah. You can read that. So I showed you in my I did a quick video of 30 minutes the other day, which is showing a stunt, a fall of a horse by a man called Tom Crisp, TC, Tom Cruise, Top Cat, who had a fake fall, and he was dubbed the Aquaman because he was then swimming in the lake doing the crawl. The crawl is just like the bent arms and legs crawling in the water. Jupiter, he rules Pisces, the water. and he wants to become the Aquarius man, Aquaman. He can't, but he creates Aquaman instead of Aquarius man, the water bearer. There's the double-headed eagle. A lot here I want to show you. So this is Alpha Omega, the mutable cross, and this passage from Pisces, but it's also Pluto. It's also Pluto in Capricorn, Pluto back on the cardinal cross. Okay, coming back to Medusa, we've got this black moon on Algol. So this is Medusa, and we had for the whole period of Mars being in Taurus. Mars was in Taurus from the Lion Gates 8/8 until March the 31st. So that was the period that they showed in New York. And I'm putting a link of this, very good for you to go and see the whole story of Perseus. So look, we've got here, he's holding the stone. He's holding the stone. This is the man who did that sculpture. And there's something else I wanted to say about him. And then we now have in New York, right in front of where they had the tribunal. Where is Medusa? Where is Medusa? So she's right in front of those pillars. There she is. So now we've got Medusa carrying the head of Perseus. And that was there just for the period that Mars was in Taurus, bringing up this Me Too. Weinstein was sentenced, and I'm going to show you, but his sentencing was also when Mars went back and over Aldebaran 3 times, from the Queen to the last court case of Weinstein, and then for the floods that I was in New Zealand. So yeah, they don't have, what's this? They've got 101. It's conceptual art. Today we have seen how this reversal of roles with Medusa holding Perseus's head has become a symbol for the feminist movement. From Garbati's childhood musings of Benveto Cellini's Perseus statue through to the contemporary world of social media, the Greek tale has undergone a total shift in meaning by re-evaluating the myth through a modern lens. For those within the Me Too movement, this is a significant shift in the power roles associated with the genders, whereas for its detractors it is slightly sexualized male portrayal of a misinterpreted subject matter. So Medusa unveiled across New York's criminal courthouse, and there she is, the swords, and it's just the sphere and the orb again, the spine and the heads. There she is. Okay, so the trials in Los Angeles commenced in October 2022. Weinstein was charged with 11 counts of rape, forcible oral copulation and sexual battery stemming from alleged acts between 2004 and 2013. He was found guilty of 3 of 7 charges. 4 of the initial 11 charges were dropped on December the 19th, 2022. And so December the 19th, 2022, December, and we got Mars right on Aldebaran. So you see Mars spent from the 8th of the 8th, he entered Taurus, and then for the Queen, he's moving along, and then for the Queen's death, he was on top of Aldebaran, and then for that court case, he went all the way along, and then he came back for the court case on top of Aldebaran, and then for the flooding, taking the fertility, the flooding, destruction, that was in February, and it started on the 13th. He was bang right back there again. This image for sulfur, salt, and Mercury just looks like Sagittarius and so Jupiter, Mercury, Pluto, and Libra. So again, that trinity closing at the Alpha Omega. We're going through pictures now to end. So again, those are the 4 phases of the moon. There's 28 in those 4 phases, not 21. Dark side of the moon passage. There is Michael Jackson, that is the mutable cross with the 3 phases, the triple goddesses, and Diana, the moon goddess. That's Taurus, and this is that passage now making that feminine energy solar. Chiron, the wounded healer, he was discovered in 77, and in 2023 we've got Chiron last having the wobbly, and that makes exactly 56 years for the coronation from the official, and 7-7 is those 2 corners, and now he's made that joining up. His orbit is between Saturn, the third eye, and Uranus. Uranus has been considered the ruler of Aquarius. So that connection between 9, Sagittarius, the Senator, and 11, 9-11. So you've got Gemini, Mercury, 3-11, and 9, Jupiter wanting to take the 11th house, which is what's happening now. Okay, there again in the deep blue. So you've got always that, the guru and the VirgO, but she's also the mermaid. She's the feminine axis of Michael Jackson and the masculine axis of Mercury, Jupiter, mutable cross. And there is the Cairo. This is that moment now, Pluto in Capricorn, between the mutable cross and the closing of the Cairo's last. His first opening was when he went through Sagittarius. Every time he goes through a mutable sign, Sagittarius, Virgo, Gemini, Pisces, and now this passage, Saturn is at home in Aquarius and Pluto is at home in Capricorn, and we come back to the true closing of the cross. The Cairo going through Pisces. This is the artist holding, he's got that head on the horizontal line, holding the seal. And this is about this blacksmith. You've got the horse with 3 opening and shutting of the Milky Way. The horseshoe is just like with the V in the middle, the frog. And this closing, this last passage of the mutable cross. And these are paintings by this same man. He did that painting Yeah, that's what's interesting about him. So the new artist that's done this Medusa's born in 1973, and this is all about the hidden hand. 2023 now. 73 was the year of the ox. Taurus, ox. Diana was born the year of the ox as well, 61, 12 years before. Place of birth, Argentina. Silver, that's silver. And there's always so many things I'm trying to remember when I'm talking to you, because believe it or not, I put many hours of preparation and then I get in front of the, like, sit down to speak and I freeze, because I am, so I want to see more about the art. So check out some of his art, apart from Perseus. Here we've got Poseidon and Venus. There he's got his triads. And this is all about the story. I thought there's more art. I thought he did these paintings here as well. So that was on the 14th of July last year, when Macron, so you've got him between two ladies, so Jupiter with the two women, so that can be Sagittarius merging with Capricorn, and on the other side Scorpio. Okay, interesting. ALCHOL, that's just Ophiuchus. And there we've got the Boaz and Jachin pillars and the Sun King. And there we've got Vulcan, so he calls himself Vulcan. This is Jupiter, which merges with Mars to make this blacksmith. Je suis Vulcan. So he described himself. The women asked him if he was Jupiter, and he said, I'm Vulcan. So this is Martin, this is Mars, and Jupiter forging us in. So here we've got the connection of Napoleon, and we've got Charles de Gaulle, and these are the Bogdanov twins, very famous in France. I knew them when I was working in nightlife. They were just very simple, nice guys, but they were famously from where I live, again, the southwest France, the Gascons. Where I live, we are having massive killing ducks again. They say another big outbreak, and they're killing the ducks. That's Deneb in the summer triangle, Deneb, Vega, and Altair. So they died last year. Holding, as if in the mutable cross, those two bolts of lightning, Zeus. And that's him again. And here's Medusa. And this is a picture of Napoleon in that dome. That's why I like that picture, in Cornwall. And this again is showing us the closing of the fixed cross and this passage, the Vesica Pisces, we have to come through. And there is for me the opening of the legs of the split of the mermaids, Venus in Pisces, so Jupiter trying to make that V for victory, with Pisces and Sagittarius as the double-headed eagle, and here because he rules Pisces and Jupiter. And Sun King, Merlion, the orb and the sphere, 33 vertebrae. And here we have the pituitary and the pineal gland, so honey and milk. And this is what I said in my last video, and I've got it in here as well. But Franklin Roosevelt's Roosevelt, I'll show you what it means here. Okay, I've got all this prepared in the article, but the time it takes me to get up and down the article. So Frank, gold, honey, pineal gland; Lynn, silver, milk, pituitary gland. Roosevelt means rose field. Franklin Roosevelt, golden cock. So that's for the Olympics. Roosevelt is a masculine name of Dutch origin that means rose field, making it a romantic option with connotations of natural beauty and wonder. It is derived from the traditional Dutch surname Van Roosenvelt and is often associated with Theodore Roosevelt and Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 26th and 32nd President of the United States, respectively. This connection gives the name an air of leadership and influence, making Roosevelt an especially attractive name option. So he was the president into the opening of World War II. So Franklin Delano Roosevelt, commonly known as ever, was an American statesman and political leader who served as the 32nd President of the United States from 1933 until his death in 1945. And I read this in my last video, but I'm making that connection with Aretha, Ether, Franklin, and then you can read that again, Lynn as milk. So it comes from the breasts. Types of Lynn include, so yeah, you can go and read that. And Frank, gold, honey, franc. So coming back to that coin, originally a French coin, but now the monetary unit of a number of countries. You can read that, but what is interesting, the name was first applied to a gold coin minted by King John II of France, 1360, which bore on one face the Latin legend Joannes Rex, Charles Rex, John by the grace of God, King of the Franks. Because this coin also carried the figure of the king on horseback, it was known as the Franc cheval, to distinguish it from another coin of the same value later issued by Charles V. So the Sun King is always on his horse. Chiron, half man, half horse. He has to merge with the moon and Venus, and this has now been reversed, as I showed you at that picture of Saint-Hubert. You've got the stag with the sun, and you've got the hunter with the moon. Okay, connection between Medusa and Medulla, and this was written by a friend at the same time I was working on this, so I put that like that and his name because it's very much in what I'm trying to explain here. The medulla is the Medusa in us. Once Perseus slayed the Gorgon's head, Pegasus and Chrysaor were born from the blood of the corpse. Chrysaor was a giant with a golden sword, the pine cone butt of the sword, once freed from the sword in the stone, and mucus of the atomic nervous system. The butt or pine cone then floats or raises into the midbrain, a golden sword and a hero on the horse with wings. Perseus flies past Atlas. Atlas is holding the world on his shoulders. That's this throat passage of Taurus, who is holding up the sky. Atlas is the top of the spine. Perseus uses the Gorgon's head to turn Atlas to stone. We live on Atlas, who is the same figure as Atom in Adam and Eve. That which is holding the sky turned to stone, and we live on a rock, which stands for Peter, and Jupiter circles us, mining away the rock, backfilling with water and oceans, rock and mortar, Rick and Morty. The mortician and the beautician share the same advertisement space. So that's quite brilliant play on words as well. And so Peter, that's Pisces, Pete and Paul. Paul is Sagittarius, that's Jupiter. You've always got the rock the Rockefellers, the Rocky Horror Show, Picnic at Hanging Rock. It's the stone, it's the peak of the mountain, the stone, the pituitary, the pineal, and the medulla is what we need. So here, the medulla is this passage to get up. You've got the thalamus, the third eye, and the pituitary and the pineal gland to get the four corners of your brain from the heart to brain connection. Medulla oblongata, or simply medulla, is a long stem-like structure which makes up the lower part of the brain stem. It is anterior and partially inferior to the cerebellum. It is a cone-shaped neuronal mass responsible for automatic involuntary functions, ranging from vomiting to sneezing. The medulla contains the cardiac, respiratory, vomiting, and vasomotor centers, and therefore deals with the autonomic functions of breathing, heart rate, and blood pressure, as well as the sleep-wake cycle. So there again, you've got that image from the dark side of the moon. You've got the light and the material, and the joining of the two is when you lighten yourself. You're able to escape the material desires of Jupiter and Mars and use them properly to find your true purpose. Okay, the sacrum bone. Just read that. We're just going to go through images because, you know, here you've got that sword that looks like that's the sexual organs, Medusa. So this is not Libra, it's Aphrodite, which is Libra, but Libra is masculine. So I've just read that to you. It's an image I showed in the last. We've got the Star of David here. We've got that milk. And this is the passage again. This is Taurus. We've got the black moon. We've got moon and sun closing in the house of Venus, Taurus, the torso, the chest, the four corners. And she's showing one breast. She's got, this is the milk, the white, the fertility of that girl. The box is closing. That's about the franc I showed you. There's the golden cock. And this is this gap from the mutable cross through the lion. Taurus is also, it's often the bear. This can be the bear as well. The bear, this fixed cross animal between Leo and Aquarius is the only man on the fixed cross. The rest, we've got Taurus, the bull, the cow, feminine. We've got Leo, the lion, and we've got Scorpio, which should become the rising eagle again. Okay, there you've got the right way up, those two V's, and Diana and Dodie show us closed in the two V's the other way round. There's the rose line on the meridian. So this is the best line. West, east, this is what you see on the Elizabeth line on the tube. And I found those two coins very much like what they're showing us now with the franc coins and for the coronation. So we're just going to go, I let you look, I let you make the connections because I can exhaust myself trying to explain things and it's for you. So we saw the two crosses and you may have noticed, look, there's a gap here. The two crosses that were the coronation. So this Pluto and Venus, it's the V passage. Here you've got the dragon, it's the year of the dragon. We've got the two legs of the summer, winter, autumn, spring triangle, and I want to say fixed cross, but we've got these are the gaps between the eye of the tiger, between Sagittarius and Scorpio, and between Sagittarius and Scorpio, Gemini and Taurus, and there we've got the snake around a turtle and the phoenix. So for me, this is the trap. And the Eggman, so the egg is about the moon energy. There you've got this new Armistice, and you've got the lunar and the lunar nodes. This is a NASA image. So the man is taking the feminine energy, the egg, feminine, the moon. It's the last 7. It's the meridian line of Fucius to become the 13th sign. He kills Scorpio, crucify the fixed cross. So this green god, Jack, Pierre, Paul and Jack, can come in between Sagittarius and Scorpio. And here is another image for you. We've just done that. We've looked at that, but you can have another look. And there's Lars's great picture of how they're making this Lucifer sigil by closing us between the full expansion of Jupiter. We should close here. We've got this gap where there's the sigil of Lucifer. It's the same as the umbrella, the opening and shutting, leaving the mutable cross and coming back to the true closing. There is this gap we have to get through. And there again for the Elizabeth line, this is the plasma event. And if you look at the Elizabeth line of the metro, it is just this stick person on their sides, which is just the torso movement. And this is the sword and stone. This is Pluto now in Capricorn on the cardinal cross with the mutable cross, closing of the mutable cross. Chiron's last. This was that image from where I used to live for 24 years when I was married, and they took from the church this Mary in gold up to the chapel on the top of the hill. That's where I lived, in Morionval. There you've got the north and the south node, the Milky Way. When the sun and the moon merge, you can get through the passage. And this is the famous eclipse, 2017, closing for the Olympics. So we've always got the sword being carried upright or upside down, and the crucifixion of Peter. The great square of Pegasus. Sword in the stone, and the sword coming out of the lake. So at the coronation, the sword was being carried upright. Here again, you've got the sphere and the orb, but we've got, this is red, this is Mars with the moon, white, exactly like we see reversing. So this is coming into the energy now. We've got Mars and the moon, when it should be that energy of Venus and the moon, not Mars and the moon. war with the female. This is an old flyer from my party days, and I just brought it out. Interesting 7, but Polo Corps, Polo, Argentina, Pete and Paul, Sagittarius, the bullseye, the Mexican hat, Bethlehem. That was where I was at Tauranga. I showed you in the other videos. So Bethlehem is in that closing in New Zealand at Tauranga, where the four corners are, and I saw the closing of the four corners. So here we have the Republic, the same as in front of Buckingham Palace, the Winged Victory. You've got the Whore of Babylon carrying the peace, olive, and you've got this is World War, the V for victory. And interesting, because I can't find my picture, but it's somewhere in all my pictures, but I spend so many hours where Charles de Gaulle has his V upright going from the head up the spine, the 2 V's for victory that we're going through now, and the cross. And again, you just see the mutable cross. Paris, Alma, Pont d'Alma, Versailles. And that was the only picture I could find of the 2 V for victories opposite each other. So R and 6666 FF 18 and 6 RF Charles de Gaulle. It's just that sword in the stone. Elizabeth line. So I talked to you about this being Saturn and Jupiter, but it's the sun and the moon as well. The moon. Now the masculine is taking this energy of the moon. It's the Tom Cruise Top Cat. Two sides of the coin. West and East. Henry VIII. French Federation of Football 666. The Coq Sportif. And this was again where I was in Tauranga. There's a French family that has begun a game called Funky Fly. I thought it was called Funky Fly Fun. Again, there's that fly, Lord of the Flies, going into the underworld. The crowning of the rose. It's the Venus path. Venus every 8 years makes that beautiful rose. Henry VIII, the rose. And again, we've got Capricorn, the cardinal cross, and they're crowning this Jupiter solar energy. They put the line in white to take that energy of the moon, Merlin, the Merlion, the sea lion in Asia. Okay, so this is a good picture. It shows the abyss at the bottom. The waters of chaos symbolized as a dragon. That's the Milky Way. And the island and the pillars of where Diana, so making an island of the Taurus, when the island, the closing, the island is Pisces. Pisces is island. Jupiter, symbol, Paris Olympics. So remember the Needles Old Battery, military fort. This is in the Isle of Wight, where there are the 3 needles. and the lion is in front of the 3 needles that make 777. So it's a military fort built to protect the Needles Passage and the naval dockyard at Portsmouth from the threat of French attack in the 19th century. The Needles Rocks and Lighthouse. Row of 3 distinctive chalk stacks with the lighthouse standing boldly at the end of the outermost chalk stack. So chalk, moon, that's the turn to salt, female energy, and the last goddess is made into a lighthouse. That's your Narnia lamppost or the Eiffel Tower into that cock. The masculine energy, a lighthouse is red and white with a light on the top. The Needles' new battery and rocket, there used to be a 4th needle and it fell, and they've put the lighthouse. The Needles' new battery and rocket testing site. 2 underground rooms tell the fascinating story of British space rockets which were secretly tested here between the 1950s and 70s. So this is the passage at that place, and then here's the double-headed eagle, and then I wanted to show you the sword in the stone. It will come to the picture of the 2 guns. So Jupiter is tin, mutable cross. It's under Altair. Mars and Venus creating this new child, Mercury, one sex. So you've got Venus, Mars, and Sagittarius. So the new sulfur, salt, Mercury made into this one sex. The 2 voices, the 2 guns, it's the 7-7, the 2 corners. The 2 corners, a corner in French is a coin, it's a coin. The 2 corners. This film, 2 guns, is like the double-headed eagle. The gun is your throat. And those are the 2 guns at the Isle of Wight. Again, Saint-Hubert, Mars has been put with the moon, Mars works with the sun, and this deer has been made into a stag. And it should be, Taurus is ruled by Venus, so they've got Venus and the sun and Mars and the moon. This was shown in Cornwall. In Cornwall, it's red and yellow, and there you've got those double triangle again, the diamonds with their arms. Jupiter, this passage, which is between the pituitary and the pineal, and that what I've just showed you, this is the passage between the medulla. So this is all the Mars L's. It's become, to become equal, Mars is Venus. The voice passage. There you've got, oops, I wasn't recording. I don't know from how long I wasn't recording, but I think I might just have to go back a little bit. We were going through that. Viracocha, 4 corners, holding the pillars, the tapestry of Bion, the beasts of Revelation. You can read that. I've just read it. So in case, I'm not sure how long I wasn't recording for. And this is the presidential election in Turkey, Ken's Turkey. It's the turkeys, it's the birds which are being crucified, and his fingers are showing Jupiter and Mars. 3 pretendants, but only one real adversary. 50 years at condoms, sterility, that's where I live, the bandas. This is Mexican, the bullseye, the hat is the tit, the breast of Venus, playing the brass sounds, which is that arsehole sound. And then the grip, the bird flu, yellow and reds, and that one hand she's showing, she doesn't look very French. It looks kind of Asian, so this is America and Asia. Asia, yellow fire, red air, America, and the killing of all the birds as the fish were killed at the last age or coming into Aquarius. So there's this road, the A69, goes between Toulouse and Castres. So Toulouse is Toulouse and Castres is to castrate. 50 is the hidden hand. And this again I came across. This is the story of Selkies, a variation on the mermaid concept in Scottish, Irish, Icelandic folklore. And it's this story that same story. She was a seal, and she came to Earth, and they took off her seal skin, and she couldn't return. And then one day she found her seal skin. She left 2 children with the fisherman that caught her, and she returns to her family in the sea. So it's always that Pisces Virgo axis. So the main thing today is about this black moon that we've got coming up on Medusa, the medulla being turned to stone in Taurus, which is the philosophers rejected the true stone of where Saturn is now. Saturn is making a square to the sun and the moon. Whether you can find your true Pluto and Saturn in the true twin peaks. Saturn rules all here, and making this square. Pluto's making a trine to this black moon, and Saturn is making a square. So, this is about being turned to stone or not. And it's the closing of the Alpha Omega and the Aleph Tav, bringing us into this next 20 years of Pluto in Capricorn before Pluto enters Aquarius. And really a lot going on between England and France as well. England, it seems, taking the lunar energy, and France taking the solar energy. Okay, darlings, that's all for now. I love you very much. Bye.